The emergency beacon pierced through the silence of the Kirath forest like a blade through silk. Theros, commander of the Apex Guard and apex predator of the Dracnir species, materialized from the shadows with lethal grace. His obsidian scales gleamed under the twin moons, each movement a testament to millions of years of evolutionary perfection. The Dracnir stood at the top of the galactic food chain, feared, respected, and never questioned. But what he found in that clearing made his predatory instincts falter. A human woman sat with her back against a crashed shuttle, its hull still smoking from atmospheric entry. She was small by galactic standards, fragile-looking, with none of the natural armor or weapons that marked a survivor species, and cradled against her chest, curled in peaceful slumber, were 2 Dracnir cubs, his cubs missing for 3 planetary rotations. Theros's claws extended involuntarily. Every instinct screamed threat. Dracnir young were volatile, their venom glands active from birth, their bite capable of dropping creatures twice their size. They knew no fear, only hunger and the drive to hunt. Yet here they slept, their serrated mouths slack, their razor-sharp talons retracted. "Don't move," Rena whispered, her voice barely audible. Her brown eyes met his without flinching, a rarity among species who encountered the Dracnir. They just fell asleep. Theros remained frozen, his analytical mind racing. The cub's breathing was synchronized with hers. One had its snout tucked under her chin. The other had draped a clawed limb across her collarbone. There were tears in her flight suit, old ones, not from the cubs. Burn marks, emergency foam residue. She'd survived a catastrophic crash. "You should be dead," Theros said, his voice a low rumble that made the trees vibrate. "They should have torn you apart." Rena smiled, exhausted. "Yeah, they tried. Little guy on the left, he's feisty. Bit my hand when I first found them tangled in the wreckage netting." She lifted her bandaged palm slightly, careful not to disturb the sleeping cubs. "But I've worked with earth predators before. Big cats, wolves, bears. The principle's the same. They're babies first, predators second." Theros circled slowly, his guard training warring with his parental instinct. The cubs shouldn't be comfortable with alien scent. The galactic consensus was clear. Humans were weak, their homeworld a death trap they'd somehow survived through luck rather than merit. They had no venom, no natural weapons, no enhanced senses. They were prey species that had accidentally achieved space travel. Yet his cubs, who had savaged 3 trained Dracnir handlers, slept peacefully on this human's chest. "How?" he demanded. Rena's expression softened. "When I found them, they were terrified, tangled in the netting, crying for their parent. I could have just cut them loose and run, should have, probably. My shuttle's failing, I'm stranded, and I knew what they were." She gently stroked the scales behind one cub's ear frill. It made a contented rumbling sound. "But I heard my daughter's voice in my head. She's about their age back on Earth, and I thought, what if she was scared and alone on an alien world? Wouldn't I want someone to help her?" Theros felt something crack in his armor of certainty. "You stayed. With predators. When you were vulnerable. I stayed because they were scared." Rena's voice was firm despite her obvious exhaustion. "I sang to them, human lullabies, old Earth songs. Fed them emergency rations even though I needed them. Let them cry it out when they were frustrated. And when they finally wore themselves out from crying and fighting," she glanced down at the cubs with unmistakable tenderness. "They just needed someone to tell them they were safe." The commander of the Apex Guard, warrior of 1,000 campaigns, felt his worldview shifting. He'd studied humans as potential threats or allies, had read the reports of their reckless courage in battle, their disturbing tendency to pack bond with anything, but he dismissed it as aberration, not understanding. Now he understood. Humans didn't survive their death world through strength or speed or venom. They survived through something more dangerous, an incomprehensible capacity for empathy that transcended logic. "Your shuttle is beyond repair," Theros observed, noting the critical damage. "You need evacuation." "I know," Rena admitted. "But I wasn't going to call until I knew they were safe. Your cubs. I saw your species marking on the beacon. Knew someone would come eventually. She swallowed hard. "I couldn't leave them." Theros made his decision. He settled onto his haunches at the edge of the clearing, his massive form a living fortress between Rena and the forest beyond. "Then we wait until they wake naturally. Dracnir cubs need their sleep after stress." Rena's eyes widened. "You're staying? You protected my offspring when you could have abandoned them. You sacrificed your resources, your safety, your chance at quick rescue. Theros's eyes gleamed in the moonlight. The least I can do is ensure no predator disturbs their rest. Or yours. Hours passed. The forest came alive with nocturnal hunters, each sensing the apex guard's presence and wisely choosing different paths. Theros watched Rena fight exhaustion, her head nodding but never fully surrendering to sleep, always aware of the precious lives in her care. "Why did you really stay awake?" he asked as dawn approached. Rena smiled. "Same reason you're sitting guard right now. Because someone has to." When his cubs finally stirred, they chirped happily and scrambled toward Theros, but not before turning back to rub their snouts against Rena's hands in obvious affection. The gesture spoke volumes in Draknir culture: acceptance, trust, family. As Theros called for extraction, he made a note in his personal log. The Galactic Council would need to revise their assessment of humanity. They weren't weak prey that survived by accident. They were something far more formidable. Apex caregivers who could turn even predators into family. And that, Theros realized, might be the most powerful survival trait in the galaxy.